it's the right time to retire?
No, I don't think there's any good time, especially when you're a coach, because once you're a coach, you think you're going to be a coach forever. But actually,
this is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be typing the greatest football coach, college coach of all time, Nick Saban. We'll be using Linda Barrens Interaction styles and temperament combined with cognitive functions. Highly recommend you pick up her work. We'll be using that to figure out his personality type. And before we get into that, we're going to be interviewing Dario Nardi this Saturday. We're probably going to do that live, so you can ask us questions. That's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So we're going to be interviewing Dario and asking him great questions and see what the GOAT has to say. You know, Dario's also the GOAT. It must be something with these GOATs here. But highly recommend you guys watch that, and if you want, you can comment below something you would want us to ask Dario Nardi. I do my best to ask that question. So let's see what the monkeys at Personality Database typed Nick Saban as. They got Nick Saban as a INTJ. Okay. We know from the chart that INTJs, that's Shelley and Thomas's type. So they're direct, responding, TEFI, SENI, abstract, systematic, progression, process of movement, whichever one you want to call it. They are the most process oriented of all the types. Okay, INTJ. And what else we got here? In abstract, we got systematic. Yeah, I think we hit all the metrics. But we have him here. So we'll be knocking him down, and if he meets the metrics for INTJ, we'll call him that. We'll also try to give him, the 4 subtypes of what Dario has for him as well: the dominant, the harmonizing, the creative, and normalizing. Okay, and that's the last one. We'll try to give that as well, Enneagram, and we'll be ranking him against all others of his type. Is he a demigod? Let's see. We will figure out. Greatest coach of all time. Comment below what you think Nick Saban's type is.
we thought that in hiring coaches, recruiting players, that my age started to become a little bit of an issue. People wanted assurances that I would be here for 3 years, 5 years, whatever, and that got
so he's talking about the future here.
Harder and harder for me to be honest about. And to be honest, this last season was grueling. It was a real grind for us to come from where we started to where we got to. Took a little more out of me than usual, and when people mention the health issue, it was really just the grind of, can you do this the way you want to do it? Can you do it the way you've always done it and be able to sustain it and do it for the entire season? And
so the thing, very easy, I'm about to jump out here. The thing is about NTs is they set a standard, okay? They set a standard for themselves and they don't go below that standard. And if they feel as though they can't meet that standard, they'll happily just walk away. That's from People and Patterns from Stephen Montgomery. Highly recommend you pick up that book.
if I couldn't make a commitment to do that in the future, the way I...
Future focused. Okay, so we're going to hit him. We're going to hit him for abstract. Okay, that's 1. It'll be 2.
I think I have to do it. I thought maybe this was the right time based on those 2 sets of circumstances that, like I said, there's never a good time. But I thought maybe this was the right time.
So there's no illness. It's just the grind and the gruel of the season.
Yeah, there's no illness. Miss Terry's fine. I'm fine. But it was can you sustain the season? From just a mental grind standpoint. And when I was young, I could work till 2 in the morning, get up at 6, and be there the next day and be full of energy and go for it. But when you get a little older, that gets a little tougher, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
What's an example of something?
Okay, so he's coming off very direct, okay? Direct. And I'm going to put an asterisk on responding, okay? You're going to look for process here. But he looked like they might be onto something. He might just be an INTJ. I think he is.
That
INTJs make one of the best coaches because they They know the goal every year is to win a championship. They chart the course towards that goal. Unfortunately, and if you really think about it from a point of view, INTJs are some of the best chess players. Football, X's and O's, it's just humans playing. It's just you sub them out, and it's just they're playing chess but with humans. Okay, because the same side has the same amount of numbers. They're trying to figure out ways to expose somebody else, just like chess. Okay, so I mean, it makes 100% sense why this guy would be an INTJ.
You say it took a little more out of you, a little more grueling this year. What's an example of something that happened in the season?
You know, I think that my role was a little different this year. I was more involved with the defense, had to be more involved with the defense. That took a little more time, put a little more stress, you know, on me. Made me feel like maybe I wasn't doing as good a job as I needed to in other parts of our team.
Made me feel, FI. So we hit TEFI, made me feel.
And I just have a high standard for how I do things. And if I don't feel like I'm living up to that standard, I'm really disappointed.
Why do you think you weren't living up
And that is a NT thing to say there.
to the standard? I mean, you won the SEC, you went to the playoff,
I
played
know,
away
but
from the national championship game.
I know, but we didn't get in a national championship game, and I felt like if I could have done a better job, you know, Michigan would have scored on the last drive to tie it up 2020 and would have had a better play to run on 4th and 3 at the 3 to, you know, have a chance to keep the overtime going. So I'm always more critical of myself than I ever am the people around me, because I think I can control and influence all those things. But
So I would highly recommend that for other INTJs watching this. Did you hear what he just says? I'm highly critical of myself, more of myself than others. A lot of INTJs can be critical of other people, and if you want to be a better version of an INTJ, you need to hold back on other people, okay? And because that's going to alienate you and make people not want to be around you. You kind of want to have the Dion or Nick Saban approach here. Well, Dion says he straight up doesn't say anything bad about people in general. So go back to that. Let's get that again.
more critical of myself than I ever am the people around me, because I think I can control and influence all those things. But I guess I wasn't disappointed.
Control and influence those things, that's the SENI.
In the season, I wasn't disappointed in the team. I wasn't disappointed in the players. In fact, this team was fun to coach, and they came a long ways, and I was really proud, of the way everybody bought in and did what they did to have the success that we had. But at the same time, I felt like I could have done a better job if I was younger.
What?
So what he's talking about now, I think really they didn't win the championship this year, and they lost before they got there. Nick Saban is still analyzing that in his brain right now. What could he have done to change that outcome? So,
what was the actual process like in making the decision? Who did you talk to about it?
Miss Terry mostly, and I think.
All right, I'm hitting for direct responding. He is direct responding. It is what it is. He's direct responding. So direct responding. Okay, we're on our way, guys, to INTJ.
She's my best friend, and we've always been close and always made decisions together about whether it was career decisions, personal decisions, whatever it might be. So, I think that she was a little concerned about, are you going to be able to sustain the standard and expectation of what we want to try to accomplish at Alabama? And can you do that, or can't you do it? And I don't want to see you kill yourself trying. That's basically what the conversation went like.
And yet, I was told yesterday you were interviewing.
It's a good wife. She knows that, if she didn't step in and say that, he probably would have tried to kill himself trying to get to that standard.
Staff members, potential staff members. Were you going back and forth even up to yesterday before you made the decision about whether you were actually going to do this?
Yeah, I was.
See how responding he is? He's direct responding.
It's a hard decision. Look, I love coaching. I love the relationships with the players. The thing that made it more difficult for me is I felt like it might be the right time for me, but how it impacted the players, the coaches, all the people who work
Talking about the impact, SE.
here in the building and contributed to the success of the team, how would it affect them? That was the hard part. And that was the part that, I kept vacillating on back and forth till I was on the phone we had a meeting at 4 o'clock. I was 3:55. I was sitting in my chair looking at the clock saying, you got 5 minutes to decide which speech you're going to give. And I was actually talking to Miss Terry right up until that time. So it was a difficult decision because it impacts and influences, the lives of so many people.
What did she say to you in those last few minutes?
That's also remarkable to hear somebody like an INTJ say, is that he actually cared about a lot of the other people, and he was aware of how much his need and how much his presence really mattered to people. And it was hard for him to make that decision because, yes, it was the right time for him to make it was the right decision for him to make for himself, but it wasn't the right time for everybody else. Okay, so it was very hard for him.
Before you went in and met with the team?
She said, I will support you whatever you choose to do. She said, I will work hard if you want to stay and do it one more year. But that's the problem. When you get my age, it's inevitable that it's coming at some point in time.
He's talking about the future. It's inevitable that it's coming.
This year, next year, the next year. And I didn't want to work on a year-to-year basis. I don't think that's fair to your staff. I don't think it's fair to the players. I think you need to make long-term.
Fair. And he's about to hit us with long-term. I heard it at the end of his voice. Damn.
Work on a year-to-year basis. I don't think that's fair to your staff. I don't think it's fair to the players. I think you need to make long-term commitments to people.
Long-term commitments, long-term NI.
Always been my goal to help people be more successful in life, the players involved in the program. And you can have two kinds of, you can have a record and you can have a legacy. And your legacy is more, how did you do it? And what I've always tried to do and want my legacy to be is you helped a lot of people be more successful in their life because you impacted them personally. They got an education, they had a better chance to have a better quality of life, and you help them.
SENI, so we got enough of that. Mr. Impact, Mr. Impact, Mr. Impact. Long-term vision. Funny he's getting into legacy.
Develop a career as football players, so maybe they realize their dream, and that goal and aspiration. So, I don't know for sure exactly what the legacy is going to be, but that's what I'd like for it to be.
I think most people would agree that that's going to be a huge part of the legacy, if not the defining part of it. And a lot of the guys that were affected in that way were in that room when you walked in, decided which speech you were going to give. What was that moment like for you?
Difficult, very difficult, because I love those guys sitting in that room. I love those players. I appreciate, there's nothing more that I respect than great competitors. And these guys all overcame tremendous resiliency. They committed to the program. They committed themselves to the team for next year. And I wanted to go in and say, hey, I want everybody to make 100% commitment for the next 12 months, but I got to be able to make that same kind of commitment if I'm going to be the leader and the coach. So, and that was a little bit of a dilemma.
Guys came to see you. I'm sure you talked to a lot of people afterwards. Is there a moment that stands out that's particularly meaningful to you after you made this decision?
Well, I love all the players, but there's some players, you're human, that you have special relationship with. And I spend more time with the
That's FI.
defensive guys, and I spend more time with the defensive back. So when a lot of the players came up, Malachi Moore and Caleb Downs, Malachi's one of the captains on the team. Caleb is a young guy that has all the right stuff and does everything exactly like you'd want, and is a tremendous competitor, both guys. So those two guys were probably the most difficult.
So what did you say to them?
I encouraged them to continue to do the things that they've always done to be successful. And one of the things I encouraged the team to do was, you guys all need to play for each other. They'll hire a really good coach here. You'll have good coaches. You'll learn more things from more different people that can enhance your development. And you guys got to trust in that and believe in that and play for each other. And I'm going to be here, so I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to have a presence. I'm going to stay in Tuscaloosa. They're giving me an office in the stadium. And I said, I can get on your butt from there just like I can from on the field.
You've said this before, that being part of a
He can't walk away from it. He can't.
team is so much of who you are. You've probably done it since you were 4 or 5 years old. And you still have that team in one way, but it's a lot different when you woke up this morning. What was it like this morning when you woke up and knew that aspect was different?
Yeah, that's the biggest part that I think is going to be difficult for me. Leading a group of people, young people, who you are trying to influence in a positive way, and not being in a position to do that. That's probably the most difficult thing for me. So I've been a part of a team since I was 9 years old, I think, when I played Little League Baseball. And, it's great to be a part of a team. And, football probably is the greatest team game of all, because there's so many people involved, and there's 11 people on the field.
Some FI there. Greatest.
And they've all got to do a job for that particular play to work, whether it's offense, defense, special teams. So, the accountability that you learn, the resiliency that you learn, the pride in performance, the discipline you have to have, the work ethic to get there. And when you have a successful team and you win a championship, there's nothing greater than that. And to be a part of that is hard.
T achievements, yeah, he's our intj.
But very, very rewarding. And that's the part I'll miss the most.
College football's changed a lot in the last few years, whether it's transfer portal, NIL, all the things that are different. What effect, if any, did that have on you as you were evaluating what to do next?
Yeah, it did not have any effect on my decision. I've always been one that, no matter what's happened through the years, whether they went no huddle and you had to adapt to it, they threw RPOs and you had to adapt to it. We had a changing environment in college football. My thing was always, don't complain about it. Try to figure out what the best solution is so that you can compete with.
Best solution, systematic. Talking about the best way to do something. Obviously, this guy's INTJ.
Well, in whatever the environment is, and that's always the approach that I've taken.
Regardless to whatever environment or anything that I'm in, I'm going to build a system with a process, regardless of the environment.
And the situation and circumstances that we're in. But I will be dedicated to college football and the future of college football. And
the future of college football again, abstract, future focus.
And trying to make that sport, as well as other sports in collegiate athletics, whether they're revenue producing or not, because I think they all create opportunities for lots of people. I'm going to be an advocate for trying to make the game as good as it can be. And I do think that
FI advocate.
There's probably more to come when it comes to this topic from my standpoint. But for now, I'll answer your question and say that didn't have any impact on what I decided to do.
As you think about it, you carry more weight than just about anybody, more weight than anybody else in the sport. Where would you start to improve it? I'm not talking about shouting at the clouds and going back to the old days, or I'm not suggesting that because I know you don't believe it. Where would you start to make it work better for the players and for the coaches, for that matter?
Yeah, I'm all for the players. Mm-hmm. I want the players to have a good quality of life. But I think in some ways, all competitive venues, I don't care if it's the NFL, Major League Baseball, I don't care what you look at, they have some parameters that
parameters, TE, systematic.
creates parity and competitive balance. So I'd like to see the players benefit, but I'd also like to see it be that every school has the opportunity, because there's some kind of defined circumstances and guidelines
Defined circumstances, guidelines, systematic, TE, come on.
Makes it the same for everybody. I don't care if you're at Iowa State.
Yeah, it's a fucking system. He's not interest based. If it was interest based, it'd be one over another, but he's trying to make it fair across the board, system design.
University of Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, or Memphis State for that matter, they all would have a chance to compete. And I don't think the landscape that we have right now allows that. And I'd also like to see whatever that solution is, not eliminate other sports and other opportunities because of financial ramifications that would create where we can't have gymnastics or we can't have track and field.
So he's very well thought about this, because the thing is about college football is that now that they're getting paid, the landscape of college football might go to a point to where it's based off revenue now. Because if you know and you understand, certain college sports don't bring in the revenue that other college sports do. Like football brings in a tremendous amount. It's probably number one for revenue, and then there's basketball. But if you're somebody who's like in lacrosse or something, you might be screwed, and he's looking out for you guys for that. Good job, Nick Saban.
82% of the participants in the last Olympics were trained in college. So I think
TE statistic, empirical data, TE.
That development and the opportunities created by college athletics, if we can keep that intact, I think that would be beneficial to a lot of people. At the same time, we improve the quality of life of the participants.
So what do you think? I don't think I've ever asked you this before. So what do you think about college football being its own entity, operating itself with its own collective bargaining type rules and that type of thing? Is that a good thing?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to research it.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to research it, TE.
I don't know that anybody has the best solutions. There's a lot of issues right now relative to lawsuits and different things like that that are impacting people's ability to make choices and decisions as to what the future really is. But eventually, we've got to have some kind of way that the players benefit, but they do it in some format that is equal to all
Talking about the format again, future focus.
of us at whatever university or college you're coaching at or playing at.
You're talking about your legacy and you wanted it to extend beyond the field, but there's been no dynasty with on-field success like this in the history of the sport, from a turn of championships in a small period of time, relatively speaking, sustained excellence, and it's going to be difficult for whoever steps on that sideline after you. I'm sure they'll call you and ask you, what do I need to know about this job and about trying to sustain it? What would you say to them?
Well, I think there's a great team of people here. We get great cooperation in the university community. We've had great graduation rate. We've got really good personal development programs and good people who help guide players in a way that they have a better chance to be successful. And we've done a good job of developing players. And we've had a lot of really good coaches, and we've had a lot of really good players. And I think it's because we have a team of people who are dedicated to creating value for players. So value meaning
creating value, FI. That was all TE rant there.
Look, we all went to college to see how much value we could create for our future. And that's always been
value. We went to college to see how much value we can create for our future. Okay.
We tried to do as an institution and as a program. How much value can we create for a player? A player is really going to college to prepare himself for the day he can't play football, even though these guys all have dreams and aspirations of playing in the NFL, and we certainly wanted to help them do that. But NFL stands for not for long. So, the life expectancy is not great. and only a few people make it. So what do you do next? And that's what I've always tried to emphasize to players.
So
And
that's what is amazing about Nick Saban is he's always teaching his players what's next. He is allowing people to work. Well, he's sharing his NI with them. Okay, what's next for you? What's next? What's next? I'm good with NI, so let me share it with you. You guys are football players. Probably most of you guys are SPs or whatever. But you need to have a future plan. You need to be figuring out what you're going to do post football, okay? He's sharing his NI, and that's what I would highly recommend with a lot of INTJs. Get in a situation where you can share your NI with people. And you can see that contributed to his success and why everyone fucking loves Nick Saban. If you look at some other INTJs, they ain't really loved by the people. But when you go about it the way that Nick Saban's gone about it, you're going to be loved. Okay, he may have FE Trickster, but everyone loves him. Okay, because he's sharing his hero function with other people, and he's doing it the best way, and he's looking at the best path for everyone. And he's not being selfish. A lot of times some INTJs can be very fucking selfish, and it's disgusting.
they bought into it fairly well. I don't think that guys transferring multiple times really enhances graduation. Mm-hmm. And I hope we don't see things in the future 10 years from now.
Okay, so you see that he's going 10 years from now. Abstract, future focus, NI, systematic. Okay, go back on that. And he's talking about the best way there. That's why I said systematic.
I've always tried to emphasize.
He doesn't think you like transferring because now with the NIL you could just leave a school. Okay, there's consequences for leaving schools and going around like that. You may never graduate. Okay, because you're going from school to school. What about the curriculum? What about the different places? You're not focusing. You got a car. Anybody can get from point A to point B, but if you fucking drift around, you'll get nowhere.
The players, and they bought into it fairly well. I don't think that guys transferring multiple times really enhances graduation. Mm-hmm. And I hope we don't see things in the future 10 years from now that I hope
we don't see some things in the future.
Guys that didn't graduate and their career's over, and now they're having a difficult time being successful in life. I think we saw that in the NFL a few years ago. I don't want to see that happen to college players.
The reaction among the fans here has been pretty remarkable. I don't know if you've seen, but they've put tributes at your statue there. When you see something like that, and then I even think back to the lady when you arrived in Tuscaloosa that grabbed you and kissed you on the cheek. Even as excited as she was, I'm not sure she could have imagined what's happened in the interim. When you think back from that moment to now seeing people put oatmeal cream pies and Cokes or whatever it might be at the statue, what do you think about that?
We've had great fans here. We've had great support. I've never felt more welcome that the first time we had an A-Day game here, had 95,000 people come to A-Day. And that kind of support, that kind of passion to have a good program is one of the things that has contributed to the success that we've had. So, I feel honored that these people acknowledge the fact that they contributed to the success of the program. All the players that have been here through the years, we have a lot of gratitude for their effort. The players on the team now. But that's the real reason that we've had success. It's the team. It's not just me. But I appreciate the fact that people have that kind of respect for what we've been able to accomplish.
How do you think you'll find satisfaction in the competitive spirit that you have in the aftermath of coaching?
Well, I'm going to keep working. I mean, I don't want to get up and watch Netflix. I mean, I want to do something. I have some businesses. Maybe there's some other opportunities out there for me somewhere, but
I can think of one. But
well,
go ahead.
And I'd probably, like to do that. But somebody told me once, you can't start a broadcasting career when you're 80. So, but I'm looking for challenges. We have businesses, we have lots of things, and I do want to contribute to continue to helping people. You know, Nick's Kids has been, you know, great in helping a lot of people. We've given a lot and spent a lot of kids on first generation scholarships here and Stillman College. And we want to continue to do those types of things in the community, build houses for people. It's just part of having compassion for other people and trying to be helpful. And you know, one of the things that make me sort of most proud is the number of players, whether it was Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce, whoever it was, that I saw them working on houses for Miss Terry on a Saturday to build a house for some needy family. And now they all have foundations themselves, and they're dedicated to helping other people. So that's one of my proudest moments as a coach, that because those guys were involved in helping people here and doing things in the community that had an impact to help someone else have a better quality of life, they chose to do that in their future.
It's been a
Going back to the fucking future. Okay, we're done here. We got Nick Saban. Okay, personality database got this correct. We got to give him that. We got Nick Saban. I got to give him demigod, man. I mean, this is the goal here. I got to give him demigod rating. Okay, Nick Saban's demigod. He's sharing his NI with everybody. Okay, he's giving those players opportunities they would have never had. Okay, teaching them how to get the best future, how to take care of your future. He's able to do that. That's why INTJs make the best coaches. Okay, and on the football field, they're out there playing chess. Okay, Magnus Carlsen style. And that's why they are some of the best coaches, okay? They're going to be hammering your ass on that process. They're going to be beating the shit out of you with the process. You ain't going to skip the process. You miss one step in the process, you're going to do it again, okay? That's what they talk about. That's like, okay, you did this, you may have scored, but you messed up on the process here, and that could cost us down the road, okay? They're looking down the road. So we got him as a demigod INTJ. So INTJs are responding. They're abstract, systematic, and I'm going to drop a link to the metrics. We have a video where we broke down all the metrics in the cognitive functions here. Pragmatic, progression. He's all about the process. He's not about the outcome, okay? He's all about the progression, the process here. And he's TEFI. He's an INTJ. INTJ. I'm going to hit him with Dario Nardi's dominant. I'm going to hit him with a D for dominant. He's a dominant INTJ. He probably went from normalizing to dominant because of his job and career, being a coach of all those kids and people. Probably forced his brain wiring to go dominant style, okay? So we got him for that. I'm giving him a 6, W5, sexual, okay, /SO, okay? That's what I'm giving him. But this is Mongolian Mindset, guys, and I absolutely love fucking Nick Saban. I'm sad that he's retiring. And if you're an INTJ, he is a great template to follow. If you want to be a successful, happy INTJ, this man is an amazing template to follow. But this is Mongolian Mindset, and we are out.